So this is one of my fences. It's featherboard and arris rail, as you can see. It's not that tall, it's not exposed to the street, and it's full of ivy. So my idea is I'm going to replace the fence. You can see the ivy basically just eats into the featherboard, just basically ruins it. Actually, wood wasn't that bad, but what I'm going to do is I've started to take it apart, and I'm going to replace it. So that's from the outside, so that's pretty straightforward because I can get my arris rails, put them in the concrete posts, which are very sturdy. I'm going to use these metal fixing brackets, screw them into the arris rails and then hammer them in, or hammer them into the concrete first and then attach them with screws. So that's all pretty straightforward. That's what I'll end up with. Just get on. So if you saw that my fence is probably 4 foot maybe, I'm still going to use 3 arris rails, but I want to make the fence higher, so I'm using 1.8 metre featherboard edges, which are roughly 6 foot. So I want a bit more privacy, and that's what I've done. And I'm going to show you how I stop it from flexing at the top later on in the video. So that's what it looks like now. It's not a bad job, I think. That's from the inside. I actually quite like it from the inside with the arris rail showing. I know most people would have it the other way around, but also you don't want the climbing frame on the outside, if that makes sense. So you've got it sort of more secure as well, as much as it can be. Then I'm moving on to the next panel. So moving further into the garden from the roadside, and now you're going to see where it becomes a bit trickier because half of it I can get to from the outside, but the other half is against the neighbour's building. So I'm going to show you how I sort of tackled that as well moving forward. So basically I'm only replacing the arris rails which are rotten. 2 of those were okay. I've replaced the top one. I'm hammering my metal bracket into the concrete post with a sort of small sledgehammer, and then I'm going to fit the arris rail on after. Hopefully not too loud with it. So as you can see, I've got now a new arris rail at the top. 2 arris rails were in good condition at the bottom, and I'm going to featherboard it and then sort of see how we're going to get that last bit done, which is going to be a bit harder because it's against the neighbour's building, as I mentioned earlier. So as you can see, I've sort of done as much as I could from the outside, from the street side. You can see how much taller it is as well now versus the one that was there previously. What I've done is I've now, from the garden side, I've removed those ones. So I've just whacked them out with a hammer, and I'm pre-nailing them. And the reason I'm pre-nailing them is I'm going to try and fit this all from the inside of the garden, because obviously I can't access the other side. And as I mentioned, I quite like seeing the arris rails on the inside. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think it looks quite good. But obviously it's a lot harder work. The easiest thing would be now to switch it now from this side. So I'm going to show you what I'll do. I'm trying to put the hammer now, hold it, put the hammer in, get it all lined up square, and hammer it in from the back. It was not easy, but with a bit of perseverance you can get it done. Because the hardest thing is you haven't got enough hands, so I'm trying to hold the featherboard in position, keeping it square, and then obviously I need to hold it and try and hammer pretty much did all that to the last one. So on the next panel, it's I can't access any of it from the outside, so it's all going to be from the inside. So I was debating on what to do. So my option was I was going to take that panel down. As you can see, there's a lot of rotten Arris rail edges and whatnot. So that's the fence as it is. I've just dropped it into my garden, and I decided I was going to try and build this fence on the floor. So lay my Arris rails down and then nail the feather boards and then put it back up. So I'll put my bottom board in, gravel board, and then I'm going to try and build this fence on the ground. I'm doing this job on my own, so there's no helpers around. And I'm thinking that's what I'm going to attempt to do. So I've marked it all out, and that sort of greeny blue thing there, the company that I bought the wood from made me a measuring stick effectively, so it's always, so I've got a template and then I just move it along as you can see, and I've always got the same distance. So I'm nailing this all up onto my Arris rails, and that's what I was going to try and do, and so you'll see in the video as it goes along what happens. So this is my test fit. I sort of nailed it, put it up. Let's just see how it works, make sure everything's right, because I'm just doing this as I go along. This isn't sort of my profession. This is DIY attempt, let's call it. There's my Arris rails. Top one needed to be fully replaced, so obviously I've used the metal brackets and put it back on the floor now, and I'm going to start building it up. And I've just put that top piece of wood there just as a marker, just to try and get this as square as I possibly can. Again, I've got my little form, and that's it. I've nailed it all the way across. Now my attempt is going to be, I'm going to try and lift this into position, because every Arris rail is going to have one of those metal brackets, so nothing needs to slot into the wood. So that was it. It's quite a lot of work. It was very heavy, a lot heavier than I thought it would be, but that's it. I've pushed it into position. I've pushed it past the concrete posts. I've whacked in my Arris repair pieces, metal, I'm not sure exactly what they're called. Hammered those in, and now I'm bringing the fence back to it. So again, I've pushed the fence against the neighbour's building, put the metal fixing brackets in, and then pulled it back towards the metal brackets. So that's it now, and then I'm just going to screw it all together and secure it. Now this is the last fence panel. Again, I've got the same problem. I can't get to the back of it. Arris rails are sort of rotten, or the edges are rotten, there's bits that go into the wood. I'm going to put some wedges in, because the wood is actually not bad. I think some of the older wood is actually probably better than this new wood we're buying, even though they say it's treated. But this time I'm not going to build it on the floor, because it was too heavy really, and also this is more awkward because it's in the corner, I can't really get to it that easily. So my attempt is I'm going to knock this in one by one, using the side of the hammer like I showed in the earlier part of the video. This is how I'm getting along. I've decided I'm going to use a G-clamp now to try and clamp the wood against the Arris rail, hold it in position, As you saw, you're trying to hold it, get it, keep it square with a spirit level. Put the your measuring template against it as well. So I've decided I'm going to clamp it and then hammer some in like this. And I'm just doing it one by one. It took a bit more time, but it was the only way I could think to do it. What I've done on some of the last corner ones, obviously I can't get my arm behind it now because we're against the other side fence. So I've nailed them from the front. Probably not the best way to do it, but actually it worked okay. Probably not the way it would be done normally, but when needs must. And I've sort of boxed in the corner as well. Now the first feather board, I've screwed it in fact, actually I think, I screwed it into my other fence post in the corner, and then I've screwed those all into each other rather than nail them in actually. I screwed them in, and actually works okay. And now obviously I've got the job of covering up above the concrete post, which obviously would, if you were replacing this all new, you would obviously put your concrete post as tall as your fence. But because I don't want to remove the concrete post, because they're old style, they're put in from a long time ago, I've got a wider feather board, and I'm going to use coping saw to try and cut a template and infill those gaps. If you can see there, it's the way I've done it. And this is the wood I'm going to use at the top, and this is going to try and stop the top of it flexing. Piece of capping to protect the edge of it, and I've just gone along and just screwed that all in. So the fence is now finished. I think it's not turned out to be a bad job. I actually quite like it with the Irish rails on the inside. The fence has been up about 4 years, not had any issues with the wind. You can obviously see I've extended it past the concrete posts, which some people might say is not the right way to do it, but it worked for me. So I think if you're looking to extend the height of your fence for privacy or whatever it is you're trying to do, I think you can do it the same way I've done it, and I think it looks great personally. And yeah, so any comments, feel free to drop a message in the comments below. I hope you liked it. Thanks.